carved with figures and hieroglyphic writing.
It's really clear that they're looking at something that's totally alien to them. And they're wrestling with this idea whether it's picture writing or whether it's something more than that.
As news of the strange text spread, French artist Jean-Frédéric Waldeck traveled to Palenque in 1832 to sketch its hieroglyphs. Believing that Babylonians, Phoenicians, or Hindus had built the Maya cities, Waldeck's drawings even included Indian elephants.
We now know that the Maya weren't even writing anything that visually looked like an elephant. He was not understanding the forms of the signs. And this is the theme that you see time and time again with artists trying to record Maya inscriptions up until the 20th century.
As more sites were discovered, explorers did their best to draw the unfamiliar glyphs. But their work lacked the detail needed for decipherment. Everything would change in the 1880s when Alfred Maudsley arrived with a glass plate camera.
Maudsley was taking full advantage of the new developments in photography. He had gone into all of the sites fully equipped with large format glass plate negatives and immense effort, these caravans of equipment.
You see these lovely photographs with the entire Great Plaza cleared. Well, it wasn't that way when he got there. He had to set a lot of people to work clearing these areas so that he could get decent photographs.
Maudsley's photos captured the hieroglyphs in exquisite detail.
If you're going to deal with an ancient body of inscriptions and try to crack an unknown script, you have to have a really good record, and he was the first one to make it.
But unknown to many scholars poring over Maudsley's photos, the work of decipherment had already begun, with the rediscovery of Maya books that had survived the Spanish conquest. 3 surfaced in Madrid, Paris, and Mexico, but the most exquisite manuscript made its way to the Royal Library of Dresden, Germany. It is called the Dresden Codex. It was forgotten until 1810, when a massive volume on the Americas was published in Paris and included 5 of its pages. Its strange hieroglyphs pushed an eccentric scholar, Constantine Raffinesque, to try and crack the Maya code.
He looked at these bar and dot numbers, and he said you never get more than 4 dots. A bar probably stands for 5. 1 would be a 1 dot, 2 would be 2 dots, 3 would be 3 dots, 4 dots. Then you'd have a bar, and then a dot would make it 6. 2 dots in a bar is 7. And that was the first time anybody had ever deciphered a Maya hieroglyph. That is the beginning of the decipherment.
The quest would move to Dresden, Germany, when Ernst Fürstemann, a librarian, stumbled upon the Dresden Codex. The priceless book had sat in the library overlooked for decades.
Can you imagine being able to pull out one of the most important primary sources in the prehistory of the New World and to have it there in front of you and just look at it and work with it?
Fürstemann discovered the Maya had developed a calendar to mark time and even pursued astronomy. In the Dresden Codex, he found precise predictions for the dates of lunar and solar eclipses. And there were tables tracking the cycles of the planet Venus, which was linked with warfare. But Fürstemann's greatest feat came when he figured out that very large numbers in the Dresden Codex were counts back in time to a date the Maya believed the universe was created. 4 Ahau, 8 Kumku. By correlating this to the Western calendar date of August 13th, 3114 BC, archaeologists could now date the carvings on stone monuments, called stela. One expert in Maya glyphs was J. Eric Thompson, a brilliant British archaeologist and epigrapher.
Thompson dominated Maya glyph studies from the 1930s up until the 1960s. He was the figure. No one else at that time had any idea what Maya writing really was.
Thompson created a meticulous classification system, assigning what scholars called Thompson or T numbers to over 800 Maya signs. After living among the Maya in Mexico and Belize, he came to deeply admire their culture.
He created a kind of a picture of the Maya as a gentle folk, rather unlike anybody else that ever lived in the world, who were constantly gazing toward the skies and obsessed with astronomy and time.
Thompson's view of the Maya was influenced by his experiences in World War I.
Anybody who had actually been in the trenches in the First World War never really wanted to hear anything but peace after that. So he had a mindset that was looking for a peaceful people.
Thompson concluded that the focus of the Maya civilization was time, and that their stelae were built to commemorate its passage. The figures in their art were priests and gods, and their glyphs were symbols recording the mysteries of the heavens.
Thompson tries to convince us that there isn't any system here at all other than the dates and other than the astronomy, that basically it's a kind of a mystic exercise on the part of the Maya for getting in touch with their gods.
Most scholars accepted Thompson's theory and presumed that beyond dates, the glyphs were simply inscrutable.
People sort of threw their hands up and said, nobody's ever going to crack this script. It's basically too much of a hodgepodge, and it just can't be done.
The woman who would challenge Thompson's vision entered the field of Maya studies by chance. Tatiana Proskuryakov had studied to be an architect, but when she graduated in 1930, the country was in the grip of the Great Depression.
She had no real job ahead of her, and she wandered into the museum of the University of Pennsylvania and saw that there was an advertisement for an artist to go and do drawings or reconstructions and so forth of the ruins at Piedras Negras, a major, major classic Maya site. And Tanya began her work there in the field, and she started to do reconstructions of what it would have looked like in the past.
She was a skilled surveyor and draftswoman. Her reconstruction drawings were so architecturally precise, they brought the ancient Maya city to life.
It's almost as if she had some sort of X-ray vision, built into her brain, so that she could look at a ruined temple and guess how many terraces there were supporting the superstructure at the top. And she turned out to be remarkably prescient.
For nearly 20 years, Proskuryakov toiled as a lone woman archaeologist in a field dominated by men. She left fieldwork in 1958 to join Harvard's Peabody Museum, spending her time in the basement where the Maya files were stored.
One of her projects was to piece back together all the fragments of jade that had been shattered into various bits and pieces. And it was at that point in time, when she was laboring away almost anonymously, that she came up with her great breakthrough.
Proskuryakov had photographs of dozens of stelae at Piedras Negras. When she arranged them by the dedication dates, she began to notice a pattern.